Alright, so here is the last of the three videos here on the different colonies of England, and I'm going to try to make this one as short and sweet, and we're going to focus on two sections. We're going to start out with the middle colonies. You can see here in the map, we're talking about the four major middle colonies here of New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. We'll do the same kind of thing as the other videos where we kind of break it down by who's coming, why are they coming, and some of the outlying as far as relations with Native Americans, trade, and so forth. The last part of this video then we'll be talking about the lower southern colonies and just how they slightly differentiate from that of the Chesapeake colonies of Virginia and Maryland. So really when we talk about the middle colonies, we start out with the Dutch from the Netherlands, not England. And the Dutch are the first ones to settle New Netherland or New Amsterdam, which is present-day New York City. And we mentioned this before, that they become a very diverse place, where there are people from Sweden, people from Africa, people from Germany, people from the Netherlands, Holland, and so forth. So it becomes kind of a very diverse background, very diverse religious community. It's really set up as a trade mecca, not so much anything else. It's not meant to be a religious place like in New England. It's not meant to be a indentured servant place like in the Chesapeake. It's really kind of just a place to make money and get the heck out of Dodge. However, England did not like having the Dutch in between them and being kind of cut off from New England and the Chesapeake region. So they are actually going to take the colony from Governor Stuyvesant, and they're going to name it New York. So once the area of New Amsterdam is now controlled by the British and is named New York, other English colonies are going to be set up, and the next one is going to be Pennsylvania. And we're going to see how Pennsylvania is a little bit different from that of the other colonies and the way that it's set up, what its purpose is, and how it kind of is started. And the history of Pennsylvania is first going to be founded by William Penn in 1681. He is a German Quaker who gets a swath of land to come over and set up a kind of a religious colony, or a colony that is dedicated for religious freedom. And as being a Quaker, his religious beliefs are really going to dictate the way that Pennsylvania is governed and how they're different than some of the other colonies surrounding it. Quakers, a little bit more ahead of their time, truly believe in equality of man before God and that they communicate directly with God. So this holy experiment that is created is really a true place of religious toleration, which we had not really seen yet in the other colonies, because even though the Pilgrims and the Puritans are coming over for religious freedom, they don't really practice religious toleration, because if you fall out of line with them, then you're going to be excommunicated, you're going to be convicted of a crime of some sort, like we saw with Anne Hutchinson and Roger Williams. So Penn is really going to kind of set up this freedom mecca for those to kind of congregate to, mostly of German and Irish descent, and it's going to allow for a diverse background. It's going to, and one of the reasons for this is that he actually has very positive relationships with the Native Americans, instead of maybe we saw some of the wars between the Powhatans and the Chesapeakes, with King Philip or Queen Anne's War in New England over land. He's purchasing and trading with the Native Americans. They actually have a very positive relationship. He's also going to ban slavery. So you have a different setup where slavery is not an issue, because even though we think of the slavery in the South, slavery was legal in New England colonies at this point. It wasn't as typically used, but it was still prevalent in that area. Pennsylvania is not going to be like that. It's going to be a little bit different in not having slavery at all. As far as economics, it's going to be a huge trade place, with the ports of Philadelphia and New York. Those the two largest trade ports in the New England colonies, are both within the middle sections, and this is going to allow for a lot of affluency in the major cities, economic boom compared to that of maybe in the southern colonies, where economic distribution is completely skewed, where you have very, very wealthy people at the very, very top, and then everybody else is dirt poor that are working on the plantations either as indentured servitudes or, of course, as slaves. So as I said, we're going to move very, very quickly through this part, and the last section here we're going to take a look at is the lower southern colonies, again, of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And much like the Chesapeake's, they're going to be mostly used as cash crop places to make profit. Again, they're trying to make profit for the mother country, that system of mercantilism. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there is going to be a huge gap, a wage gap between the rich and the poor. And the last of the the last of the lower southern colonies is going to be Georgia, which is created as a buffer zone. And what I mean by that is it's a place to kind of keep South Carolina safe from the Spanish in Florida, and also the different Native American groups of that part as well. And Georgia is going to be first started mostly by sending of rejects. And we think about like in world history with Australia being a colony set up by England of prisoners. And the same idea is here for Georgia, where mostly you're having people sent that are debtors or prisoners of some kind from England as a way to kind of set up this new, again, like I said, buffer zone to create some stability between the British colonies and then the Spanish colony of Florida. And in these lower southern colonies, we're going to see a huge reliance on slavery, especially in the larger plantation areas. States like South Carolina actually have a larger slave population than freed whites. We'll get a little bit more deeper into that and the rebellions and so forth that come out of this, like the Stono Rebellion. And the tension kind of between the different classes of people in these lower southern colonies. But for now, we're just going to understand where they're making their profits from. And as far as England goes, they are not just focusing in North America, they're also in parts of Latin America and South America, the Caribbean as well, kind of producing certain raw materials like sugarcane, again, tobacco. A lot of these cash crops that are able to make under this mercantilist system a lot of profit for the mother country. So guys, this is going to finish up and wrap up the last of our sections here on the different colonies. Again, we really tried to touch on and really focus on our key concept of having the different forms of British colonies, having the differences between the Chesapeakes and the New England colonies, and so of course the middle colonies as well. We tried to focus a little bit on trade and how that is with the transatlantic trade, which we'll focus a little bit more on in class, and then also the impacts of slavery and relationships between the Native Americans. So just as before, if you guys could please come in with any questions or any issues that maybe have come up, things that were not clear to you in the videos, and then we will definitely go over them in class. See you then.